Hey folks, this is Matt Rainwater, and today we're going to be reading episode 50. 50 episodes, can you believe it? Of Trailer Park Warlock. We are picking up where we last left off. Pointu got his arm blown off. And we're going to find out what happens next for Pointu in this match of Coup Mortel. So, beginning where we left off last. Ladies and gentlemen, this does not look good for Pointu. Hampton's looking very worried here. Says you're right, arsehole. I believe that was an intentional maneuver, Leah. He leaned into that, didn't he? It happened so fast, I couldn't tell. So everybody's very perplexed by this whole thing that's been happening. Of course, Pointu has a plan, right? C'est merveilleux. Srack. So, Pointu can now play, basically, because he finally figured out that the sigil that he had on his hand, as we'll soon find out later in the story, is called the Will of Abandon, but it's Daywalker magic. And Pointu, having transformed into a Nightwalker, quote unquote, something we'll learn a little bit more about as we move on through this story. But using quote-unquote Nightwalker magic just doesn't, his body was not able to use Daywalker magic. So he got his arm blown off, no longer has it on his body, technically, right? And so now he can play ball. So the name of this episode is Purely Offensive Positions. Ping! Woom! There's a lot of sound effects. Also, a lot of some of my favorite drawings in season 2, because I had a lot of fun drawing this part of the match. And I was, when I was writing this episode, I was really, when I was writing this season, I was really preparing myself for this episode and getting very excited about it, because I knew it was going to be a lot of fun to draw. And particularly in this, I don't know, the first couple of seasons of Trailer Park Warlock, I really always wanted to try, and I always do now still, I always want to lead to some kind of big action sequence. And so this for me was like, okay, this is the big action sequence we keep leading up to, all this tension is building up to. So this is for me kind of this is where I was going to have a lot of fun. Not that I didn't have a lot of fun later on in the story, but in this particular moment, a lot of fun. Anyway, I'll stop rambling, we'll get on. Unbelievable. On guard, madame. What's left to give up at this point, master? Don't let it be your life. Zrak. Here's the Pointu I was expecting to see. Kang. Zrak. Pang. So it ends up, basically this sport ends up turning into a weird, a violent, perverse form of tennis, basically. Boom, Zrak. This is a fun panel. But can he build the momentum required for victory? Boom. Holy. Revenstone, unfazed, presses the attack. Zrak. The back and forth is relentless. We see Dan in full cat mode here. So everything's bouncing around. Another bloodbind is in danger. Ag! Bloody hell! The stakes rise again, but Pointu is not backing down. Okay. I clearly had a lot of fun drawing Pointu in this episode, because I was like, just the way he's designed, especially with his longer hair, I was like, oh, it is gonna be fun, like, drawing all these like high intensity, big energy moments. I had a lot of time. I had a lot of fun thinking about. I had a lot of time. What does that mean? I had a lot of fun thinking about how this would work. You know what I mean? When I draw, a lot of times, especially for action sequences, I like to think very. I guess I would say like in a very engineer style of thinking of like, okay, what physically would happen? How would this work? When I'm thinking about, Just like how the smoke or dust drifts behind Pointu as he's like shooting this magic laser, and how his hair flows and all that stuff. Ping! Leia. Anything could happen tonight. Two bloodbinds remain untouched, but that can all change in a moment. So we see Darla starting to feel worried here. Doom. Boom. Bev, I'm going in. Boom. It's clearly a very, very wild match. So we see Revenstone and Pointu just shooting magic lasers all over the place. Both players are attempting purely offensive positions now. The level of skill required for such performance is world class. Boom. Boom. What? Really? Boom. So this magical shield is designed to keep things in and not out. Srack. Boom. I've seen some wild laser light shows, but this is really something else. Darla, maybe we should think about what the hell, Darla? So clearly Bev did not hear Darla when she was saying that she was going in, but looks like it's working out anyway. Guess they don't make these barriers to keep things out, huh, Jake? Oh Lord, her timing couldn't be worse. What the hell she thinks she gonna do? I'm stuck in here till somebody busts my bubble. Boom. Ain't you happy to see me, Jake? To be continued. So, final thoughts, as always. Yeah, like I said, this is a really fun episode. This episode in particular has some of my favorite drawings of this particular sequence of events, I guess. I don't know how else to put it, but I always, whenever there's action stuff, I always push myself to like go the next level. And I think, that's something I've been thinking about from a drawing perspective, is that I need to learn, or I want to learn and understand better how I can push myself for things that aren't action sequence stuff. Because, like, action sequence, it can be kind of easy. I don't know if that's the right word. It's easier to get inspired for that stuff because you know that you're going to do stuff that is bombastic, over the top. It's easier to think in that manner, but there is another manner of drawing where you can spend a lot of time drawing the precise, nuance, subtle things of everyday life. And that's something that I, for myself, I work towards getting better at. And there are ways in which I do it in terms of understanding body posture, acting. These are all, these are all really crucial for, drawing comics and drawing in general, right? This is like animation type stuff. And although I'm not an animator, I certainly aspire towards having an animator's understanding of how to draw the human body, or bodies in general, how to draw the world and to bring it to life. And certainly that comes to light in this episode. Something that I was thinking about a lot while drawing this episode is, this would be so cool if it were like an animated series or whatever. And the thing about that is, yeah, it would be cool. But I need to think in terms of for every moment of every part of the story of Trailer Park Warlock. And that's where I've attempted to work at getting better at that for the overall quality of the drawings in Trailer Park Warlock, specifically with characters, elements of like the environments, like drawing buildings and stuff. That's going to take a little bit more time, but I do think I'm going to get better at that too. But anyway, point being, something that I've been making a point of doing while drawing season 4 of Trailer Park Warlock is to do more life drawing. And the results of doing that were immediate. Because, I'm only doing, 30 minutes a day before I start work. And even those 30 minutes makes a huge difference when I start drawing the comic. Because and this isn't anything super complicated, right? Like there's a ton of different resources you can find on the internet. I just literally just Google searched life drawing online and found a bunch of different sites. And so a lot of those sites have things where you can um, find like class mode type things where it's like, okay, I want to draw for 30 minutes. And what it'll do is it'll have like, okay, here's 10 30-second gesture drawings, 5 1 minute poses, and then like I'm probably doing this totally wrong, but it's and then something like, five or 2 5 minute poses or 5 5 minute poses. I can't remember. I think it's 5 5 minute poses and then 2 10 minute poses or 1 10 minute pose. I'm not mathing very well right now. um, but you get the idea, right? Like you start with a bunch of quick sketches, then you slow down a little bit, and then you slow down a little bit more, and with each slow down, so like from the 30-second to the 1 minute drawing, that is the difference of, okay, all you're doing and all you have time to do is to block in the figure and get an idea of what the general energy, it's the only word I can have right now, the line of action for the character is. Whereas in a 1 minute drawing, you're spending a little bit more time blocking in the pose. 5 minute drawing, that's usually enough time for you to do a complete drawing, and the 10 minute drawing is like you're doing a complete drawing and then you're going really fine detailed. I usually only go as far as the 5 minute drawings because at that point I'm ready to draw Trailer Park Warlock, and I've done enough of the necessary warming up to the point where I want to, or I feel confident to do, all the figure drawing that'll be needed when I'm drawing the comic. And one of the really important things that comes from this is I get a better, it clues my brain into thinking about drawing in terms of proportion, which is super important for anything if you're drawing. And that is definitely where I benefit the most. Although I also benefit in terms of just feeling more confident in doing high energy gestures, or also just doing like more subtle body language stuff. Like I've been trying to think a lot more about like hand language, because there's a part of communication, that humans do where they talk with their hands, right? I've been trying to pay more attention to that because, for every artist who's starting off, the face is the place where they want to focus, right? That's the most immediate, obvious place where you can figure out the emotions of a person, what they're thinking. And while that is the easiest way to get it across, there are way more aspects of a person's body posture and I'm going to say this word again, body language, that will evoke particularities that can be really important to if you want to give extra information. I'll just say it like that. If you want to describe somebody who is feeling anxious, they may not be anxious in their face, but the rest of their body may be saying they're anxious. And that's just like one example of a lot of different things that can open up if you learn how to do that kind of body posture work. Anyway, I could ramble on for another hour about this, and quite honestly, if I do, I should just make a separate video series about that, right? And I certainly have a lot of thoughts about that, but that's not really within the framework of this video series. I did just want to touch on what I was thinking in regards to that, and can certainly and gladly touch on it again in the future. If that idea sounds cool to y'all, please leave a comment and let me know what you think about, or if you have any questions in regards to learning to draw, or tips or ideas for drawing for webtoons, comics, animation, whatever. Anyway, until then, y'all can also contact me on Twitter, on Instagram, or even on Patreon. On Twitter, it's at Matt J. Rainwater. Instagram, at Matthew Rainwater. And Patreon, it's patreon.com/Matt J. Rainwater. Please give this video a like, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I will be doing these frequently, often, and we'll be talking to y'all again very soon. All right, y'all have a good one, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. First, I need to turn this off, right? See ya.